Hello, everybody, and we are back for another edition of the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm your host, Sergeant John Perrine, the Public Information Officer for the Indianapolis District. The Roadshow is brought to you each and every week by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the State Police Alliance. For more information about our sponsor, you can visit them at www.indianasfinest.com. We want to thank all the people who make this show possible. Our friends at WIBC and MS Communications, Network Indiana, and Miss Terry Stacy, Kyle Knezovich, and Matt Hiblin for all they do to get us on the airwaves in every corner of this great state each and every week. We do appreciate everyone's efforts. My guest today, for those watching on YouTube, you know what, that reminds me. The man that makes it happen on YouTube that works so hard is Mr. Tom Trial. Tom never wants to be in front of the camera, but he does a phenomenal job behind it, and we're so appreciative of Tom's efforts. And so now, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see a familiar face, but you might notice that his collar is a little heavier today. Mr. Captain Ron Galvez. Captain, congratulations.
Thank you, John. Good morning. How are you?
Very, very good. So in a recent appointment by Superintendent Carter, Ron was promoted from first sergeant as the assistant chief PIO to now the chief PIO as a captain.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's very humbling and an honor. I'm very humbled and honored to be able to serve in the capacity, and not only the department but also the citizens of this great state. So it's a tremendous honor and definitely a highlight of my career. Well,
it's very much deserved, of course. Everything that I've seen, really had the chance to really get to know you over the last year and a half, and very, very impressed with your efforts and very, very deserved position. So congratulations.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate that. And
so tell folks that maybe don't quite realize that. I think anybody that's listening to the show understands what the PIOs do, because that's what we do statewide. But kind of talk about the difference in what you do versus what the district level PIOs are doing.
Right. So the having come from the district after 12 years in Fort Wayne, we have a daily rapport and a daily interaction with our local media outlets. The district public information officers like yourself are obviously tasked also with information duties outside of the media, meaning to say you guys do public speaking engagements, educational seminars, anything and everything having to do with public safety as it relates to the interaction between the Indiana State Police and the general public. My role now, I serve at the discretion of Superintendent Carter. I serve directly under him and under Colonel French. Any large story or anything that has to do with the media and the department at a really on a statewide level, higher level is my responsibility. I don't supervise the PIOs in the field. However, I do have an opportunity to work with you guys very closely, field phone calls and emails all the time, which is great because it's really nice to know that the guys think that much of my opinion and my experience to ask for help, and vice versa. I've reached out to you how many times to say, hey, what do you think about this, or how does this sound? So it's a symbiotic working relationship that I have with you guys in the field, and that is what I really enjoy the most. I still have the opportunity, obviously, to not only deal with the media, interact with the media, but also to take part in those same speaking engagements that you all do. And that's what I really enjoy. And I miss that because of this pandemic. I miss being in the classroom, whether it's an elementary school or a college level course. I miss that interaction with other people, talking about all the great things that the state police has to offer and that we do every day.
Now, another part of your duty is engaging with other agencies' heads. You're really engaged with the governor's office and obviously everybody else that works down at the state government building. So a lot of behind the scenes stuff that maybe people don't quite see or hear.
And I'll be honest with you, until I got downtown a year and a half ago, I really didn't have a great working understanding as to how some of that worked. And there's times when I walk into some of those meetings, I still don't have an idea how that works. But nonetheless, it's a really neat dynamic to kind of see how those bridges are built and how they're maintained between whether it's the governor's office and each of the 80 plus state agencies that exist.
Now, I hope people don't turn the radio off when they hear this, but you're a Michigan State Spartan.
I am.
And you come to us from the state of Indiana, or from the state of Michigan. So talk to us a little bit about what brought you or what drew you to Indiana and the Indiana State Police.
Well, when I was when I got into college, criminal justice was really a fascinating field for me. And the very first class that I sat in, CJ 101, a retired lieutenant colonel from the Michigan State Police, he was their number 2 guy when he retired, was my instructor and my professor. And the minute when he opened his mouth and started talking, I was hooked. So that's what I want to do. And so fast forward 4 years, I graduated in December of 1992 from Michigan State. And at the time, there weren't a lot of opportunities in the Midwest. The economy was kind of on a lull. But the Indiana State Police was present at a career fair that I went to, and they were actively recruiting for an upcoming recruit class. So I applied, and I was very fortunate to be accepted into the 50th recruit class. So almost a year to the day I graduated from college, I graduated from the Indiana State Police Recruit School. And
for those retirees that listen to the show, he's a member of the famous, we'll call it,
famous 50th
recruit school.
So we, I thought at times that I might have an opportunity to go back home after getting some experience. But, this December will be 27 years. I've raised my family, have two beautiful grown children, and my ever loving and supportive and beautiful wife. And I would not trade I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. If I had to do it all over again, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Very
cool. And that kind of segues us into some of the important things we can talk about is we're hiring. The Indiana State Police is hiring. We plan to start a class, I think in the spring of next year or in the summer of next year, late spring, early summer. So let's talk to people about maybe you're in high school or in your college and you're on the fence. So what's some advice that you want to give to the 18, 19, 20-year-olds out there that think maybe they want a job in law enforcement, specifically with the Indiana State Police?
Well, number one, the first and foremost, make sure you get your high school education. At this current point, we do not require a college education, but please know that the vast majority of the applications that we do receive have some level of college education in their back pocket. And it doesn't have to be in criminal justice. That's kind of a misnomer.
Yeah.
We have troopers that have come to us from the private sector, such as being managers at a convenience store, teachers, engineers, name it. It runs the gamut. Military experience. We have a ton of military experience. So if you're on the fence, study what interests you. Go out and start a work experience and something that interests you, because there will always be something that you can take away and bring to the table that would help this agency.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I always encourage is if you think you want to be a police officer and you're going to go to college, choose a major that's something unrelated, because when it comes to police work, the Indiana State Police Academy and the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy is essentially your knowledge.
Right.
There are things that you could learn in college, but everything you need to know is going to be taught to you at the academy through training and experience and things like that. So I don't want people to feel like it's going to give them a huge leg up. I too studied criminal justice, but I don't remember when I got to the academy thinking, wow, I'm sure glad that I have that criminal justice in my belt. So
right. And I have a minor in psychology. I have a degree in criminal justice and a minor in psychology, and I've used that minor far more in my career than I ever have the other. Not to say that the other isn't important or hasn't bode well for me, but I think you're exactly right. And the other component to, I think, where you're probably going is, if you go out, let's say, and you have an engineering degree, but you really have always wanted to be a state trooper, whether at retirement or somewhere down the road, if there's a reason that you can't do this or don't want to do this, you have something to fall back on. You have a plan B or a plan C. Yeah. So that's always something good to have as well. Well,
I always tell people, like, say you go out and get a business degree, and then you come to the Indiana State Police, and then 10 years down the road, you get into white-collar crime investigations.
Sure.
That business degree is really going to help with that kind of thing.
Yep.
So again, there's a plethora of things to do with the Indiana State Police, and you're a lot of things to learn,
right?
But really, really a rewarding career.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
With cool things.
And no day. I look at every day as a training day. Even now, 27 years later, even though I'm not working the road, I learn something new every day. And whether it's from reading a memo, legal update, or just basic interaction day to day with the folks that work the road and that are out there where the rubber meets the road, because they are the ones seeing and doing that we get an opportunity to talk about on TV, the radio, doing press releases. But man, we learn so much from those folks. It's incredible. And that is a great that is a great resource to have.
Yeah, so the Indiana State Police is currently accepting pre-applications at this point. All you have to do is go on our website, www.in.gov/ISP, search for career opportunities. And not just for law enforcement. We have civilian jobs as well that are constantly posted once a week throughout the entire state. So if you're looking for a good job with the Indiana State Police, just check out our website, and there's a lot of information there.
You know, and that's another good point, because we do have the civilians or folks that have come to us, whether right out of high school or college, as a dispatcher, as a administrative assistant, in the laboratory, some of these different areas that aren't sworn. And some have actually just said, you know, boy, I really want to work the road. I want to do what you do, Sergeant Perrine. And, you know, so we've, coming from Fort Wayne, I know we had a young dispatcher that he's a tremendous heck of a trooper up there. And but he started as a dispatcher, kind of got his foot in the door, learned from one side of that wall, and now he's on the other side and doing a fantastic job for us.
One interesting thing to say about that is if you're graduating high school and you want to be a police officer and Indiana State Trooper, but maybe college isn't for you,
sure,
for whatever reason, you only have to be 18 to be hired as a dispatcher.
That's right.
So you could come and work in dispatch for 3 years before you're eligible to apply to be a trooper. You have to be 21. But a plethora of experience, good work ethic is building, and you know, build a lot of network.
Yeah, plus you're learning the inner workings of the department. Yeah. As a dispatcher, you're learning all the fancy radio talk, the 10 codes and all that.
That's right.
But you're also getting to learn policies and procedures and seeing how things work from the inside. So when you're doing, you know, you're going through that trooper process, I think that might give you just a little bit of an advantage, because you kind of already know how things happen on the inside.
Yeah, I was a little jealous. I had a dispatcher in my class, and you know, early on, trying to learn 10 codes and signals, it seems like trying to learn a foreign language.
Yeah.
and you'd be standing in line at lunch, and you know, they'd know it. The counselor would come up and ask you the 10 code of the signal, and those dispatchers, I mean, without hesitation. Right. And then you're sitting there trying to figure out what 1023 means, and so again, that is some real life experience that could be beneficial.
Absolutely.
So we're coming up on. We've got about 2.5 minutes here, and I think we'll close out with it's that time of year where we're coming up on some cold weather. And we're going to do a whole nother show later on about winter weather driving and all that stuff. But what are some things that people should be doing right now in October to prepare their vehicles for the upcoming cold weather?
Well, really, that's easy. They should be preparing themselves mentally, because of that chill in the air means one thing: cold weather's coming, as you mentioned. And now is a perfect time to take advantage of that opportunity while the weather's still good, to make sure that your vehicle is in good a shape as possible, which means brakes, tires, windshield wipers, all the mechanicals. So take it to your local professional auto care center, or unless you're good at that stuff, which I am not. And but make sure that you give your vehicle a top to bottom, front to back checkup, because it's very important, because that vehicle is a machine, and machines break down. And if not properly taken care of, especially in the harsh, cold climate of central Indiana, you know, who knows what may happen. And the last thing you want to do is find yourself stranded in the middle of nowhere at 2:00 in the morning because you had bad tread on your tires, or you forgot to change the oil and your engine seized up, or any number of things. So take advantage now while the weather is still favorable. Yeah, because you don't want to be trying to do that vehicle maintenance, of course, when it's really cold outside. Right. You'll be regretting saying, "Why didn't I do this when it was still nice?" So, right. And I'd like to close, because I'd be remiss if I didn't mention what a contribution retired Sergeant Tim McCarthy's made. Absolutely. To his community. And if you've ever been to a Notre Dame football game, you've heard Tim's voice. And I know that's a little closer to home for you up there with the Notre Dame games and stuff, but what a cool legacy he has left behind. I watch the videos, I hear the sound bites, and man, I didn't know him. I had never met him, but I feel like I do. You know, and if you really want to know what we're talking about, on YouTube, the University of Notre Dame did a nice little couple-minute recognition video in his honor, and it's awesome. It is really good. So it's on YouTube. I just searched Sergeant Tim McCarthy Notre Dame, and it pops up, and it starts, "May I have your attention, please?" And it talks about his 55 years of doing that. So.
Yeah.
Give it a watch. Well worth it.
What a really cool thing, and that legacy will live on forever. And thank you to the University of Notre Dame for recognizing him and his efforts. You've been tuned into the Indiana State Police Roadshow. Our guest today was Captain Ron Galvez. We appreciate everyone listening, and buckle your seatbelt. We will talk to you next time.